Meeting to order this evening. It's September 13th, our regular board meeting. And beginning tonight, we have about an hour devoted to some board development. And we have Nathan Shaw here again, and I'm going to hand it over to Annie to kind of introduce this part.
Thank you, Joan. I am really excited to be here tonight, so thank you to really officially kick off our branding for our school district this evening. In your packet, you have, actually it's right on the top of your manila folder here. Joan, Randy, Nathan, and I have really put together information here for you, selecting our core logo committee, as well as listing or showing a definition of the role of that committee below. We've also selected dates for upcoming focus groups and then listed a definition there for you and what their role is. So I'm thrilled tonight to welcome Nathan Chow back, and really the heart of our work to kick off tonight with a focus group for the Board of Education.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. So we have an hour, so I'm going to really kind of go through what I will be presenting to the other focus groups. So you're the first one. The slides that I'll be showing this evening are going to be the same slides through all the focus groups. Okay. So there's an apple-to-apple comparison for whoever's responding to the questions. In front of you, you also have what's called placemats. They're a little larger sheet of paper. There's going to be 7 questions in front of you. When we get to that point, if you feel comfortable with writing, or if the discussion's gotten long and you have an idea, please write it down. And then I will be taking those back with me to help develop my research, okay? So really what this is an open conversation about how you see the district. Real quick, this is about what is best communicates the district. Logos are very subjective, and I'll get through all of that, but like there's 2 rules. There is no wrong answer, and the word no is not allowed, okay? So I'll get through that, and we will get going. So you've met me a few times. I'm Nathan Chow. I'm Foundry. I've been working with name brands, Fortune 500 companies. These are all the companies I've worked with in the past. And these are some of the current schools and redevelopments I have done here in the state of Wisconsin for logos, from a district level and at a school level. Okay. So the quick couple goals for this workshop is to establish a cohesive brand that reflects the district's mission, vision, and core beliefs, to align the expectations of the broad community. Also to learn about the impact of visual branding and to collaborate community input. Okay? So those are the 3 key takeaways from this evening's event. Okay? So real quick, I'm just going to kind of go through it. You know, the logo's Cliff Notes, right? Some of us have experience with logo development, some do not. And I just kind of want to get our minds into into the understanding of what I'm looking for and what visual branding is. And then we can then apply some of these ideas to the questions. When we get to that point, I'll open it up. So this is just me flying through a bunch of my slides. Logos, they need to be attractive, responsive, and consistent. That is something that is a core belief in visual branding. It needs to attract people. People need to respond to it, and it needs to be used consistently. So these are the 3 major principles I really like to focus in on. And that's something, again, we will take into the brainstorm. Logos need to tell a story, okay? Not to talk politics here, but really what this is it's supposed to tell you, it tells the viewers a major story of what is going on, what they're trying to communicate, and what they represent. And then this one, Obama, when he released this logo, there are studies that say that his campaign turned significantly into the positive when this logo was released, because this was his actual second campaign logo in his first run. So the strongest logos tell simple stories, simple logos tell the strongest stories. And if you actually look at it, it is an O, it's the rising sun over the fields, hayfields, but it's also the American flag. So a real clever logo for something that spoke volumes for him. Logos should function. And actually, I find this humorous because this is in England and it's on the road. If you look, if you're looking down, this is for Americans, because if you try to cross the road, they're coming from the other side. Right. It should represent the organization. And this is a logo I'll bring up again a couple times. Manpower. Manpower's original logo is up on top, and then their new one is at the bottom. It should understand and speak to the demographic, okay, both internal and external customer. Internal customer is your staff, your administration, your students, even your parents. External is your community members, business partners, and other districts in the surrounding area, and even the world is basically, the limit, or basically who you can talk to. And then the question you also have to ask yourself, does it evolve over time, or is it timeless? And here are two big brands that really show a difference in how they believe, how they should talk to their demographic, and that they should evolve over time. It's Pepsi, and then Coca-Cola has never changed its logo from day one. So, real quick, logos and icons and logo marks. Basically, it's the visual image that could be abstract, it could be literal, it could be a word mark, it could be, it could be letters, it could be a bunch of things. But what it is it helps represent visually for people to be attracted to. The word mark is basically just typography that tells you what you're looking at or what company are you referring to, okay? And color. Here's my first question. Color is very important into logos. It helps identify, it helps tell you a quick story just based on a visual color. So if I say color pink, which is in the upper left hand, what do you think of right away? Remember, there's no wrong answer.
Happy.
Happy. How about in October? What does pink represent?
Oh, I'm going the wrong side.
It's okay. It's a left. It's
I don't like that color.
The screen washes it out because it's
Yeah, I don't like that one. I
So-
thought it was the orange.
No, so the top left is pink. And if I were to put this on something in the month of October, what would it say to you?
Wrong season.
Susan B. Komen? Breast Cancer Awareness Month? So the reason why I'm saying this is when I worked for Taste of Home, we were actually chasing after another cookbook. And it's called the Plaid Cookbook, everybody knows it. For the month of October, they turned the red and white plaid to pink, and they sold over 200,000 more just
Wow.
because of that color.
Wow.
And also for the support for breast cancer. So the top upper right, red and yellow, real quick. No wrong answer. Ketchup and mustard, McDonald's. Here's the reason why I'm bringing this one to attention is it's actually known to make people hungry. And that's why McDonald's is red and yellow. So bottom left is brown and yellow versus purple, green, and gray. You see them pretty much every day. UPS and FedEx. Okay? So you bring it all together and you get a logo. So I just blew through 101 logos, and this is what I'm going to tell you about Manpower. Anybody know who Manpower is as a company? They're a placement agency. Okay? The company who developed this logo, it took them a year to develop it. It took a graphic designer 10 minutes to make it. But it was all the research and the back history and the focus groups to fully understand what this logo meant. Okay? So placement agency is like a hiring firm, and they're placing workers in an area. So if you look at the slash marks, it's in a movement of placing. Okay? It starts to the left, it goes to the right. The first three are placed, the longer one is being placed, and the orange one is about to be placed. Color in the spectrum, if you think of color spectrum, it's in the correct order, so it reads left to right. Now this is where the kicker is. It also forms the M and the P.
Cool.
So it was Manpower's initials. So the company, the advertising agency, took the color scheme, took the philosophies, and applied it all to their marketing, advertising, and website, including interior design. So this is how powerful a logo can be for an organization. Okay? Real quick, I've said this before in the past, a couple times I've been here. There is a difference between logo and mascot. I want to quickly define this right away so that, because in your situation, this is going to be a conversation that's going to come up, okay? The logo to the upper left is Wisconsin's academic and formal logo. They use this in all formal settings. So if they're sending you a letter or acceptance or anything that is on a formal side of communication, they will use that logo. If they want to speak to you in a spirit way or an athletic way or basically the overall excitement way, they will use Bucky and the Flying Duck. Okay? So mostly it's sports and athletic and lifestyle to right, but academic is to the left. Okay? That is something we are going to investigate. We are going to listen and hear from all the people that we talk to and to see if this is a solution that is needed for the school district and the high school. So a quick experiment that I usually walk you through, and it's this. I know I'm using companies, but this is, everybody's so familiar, and obviously everybody knows this brand, right? They spend millions of dollars to protect this logo. I'm talking millions. And about 5 years ago, they lost all our credit card information. And I even got the letter. And said, yeah, we were careless. We lost it. But my wife still went the next day to spend $150 there. It's because they protect their brand, right? We know what they look like. We know the uniform. We can go in any Target and understand where we are at that time. That is brand development, right? And that's brand recognition and brand protection. So what if we do this to it? What do you think? What do you see? What's your initial reaction?
They're celebrating some color,
Color?
some event that uses that color, but they're embracing that. That's what I see.
So
It's Target, but they're embracing some kind of,
what
whether it was Cancer Month, like you said.
Yep. What about a competitor? Walmart? What if they changed it to blue? Just in the color alone shifts the whole identity. And that is something that is very important. Okay? So, with that being said, here's a quick case study that I worked on. And it was the Franklin Public Schools. Excuse me, I need a quick drink. So Franklin Public Schools hired me to do the same thing that I'm currently working with you. This was an older logo. It's been around for some time. They had felt that it was outdated, did not reflect their new growing community, and basically they were changing hand over foot. The administration at the time also wanted to align the image of the district with the schools they felt that there was a disconnect between the schools and the actual district from a visual standpoint, and that they felt like everything was like a disarray is the best way of putting it. And every school that they represent or was under their umbrella happened to be a CAT. Franklin is a very proud, very strong athletic community. They wanted to represent themselves in that fashion, and at the time, the superintendent at the time there wanted to use the Franklin Saber, which is the bottom right, as the actual logo for the district. And it's pretty violent looking, and there was a lot of pushback by his team and community members, and that's why they brought me involved to help walk them through this process. So after going through all this process, we decided and we came upon, after a bunch of concepts, we came upon this logo. Within a district setting, you want to be more formal, like I was saying in Wisconsin, and have something that's a little bit more formal, something that doesn't look violent, but it also should represent everybody. Athletics, the arts, K-5, the 12th grader, you know, everybody that is underneath this umbrella. And the quick story behind this was the actual shield that you're seeing has a pointing up, north, and to the right, which means progressive. It gives that feeling. It's also the side profile of the Saber field. So I hid it within there, and I allowed them to still feel that proud, give them a simple look, but in a connection, and a backstory that they can tell their residents and that they can tell their community that we represent all of us. And this is what they have chosen to move forward with. Okay? All right. 101 is done. I did it in 15 minutes. That usually takes me a half hour. So here's what I did. Over the last couple weeks, I did what's called a quick image poll. 5 minutes, 1 email. This is what I got. Okay? The left, I asked I talked to Annie and I asked for the logos that she had on hand. And the ones on the right, I just Googled your district, and that's what I got. So right now, it kind of tells me that there is a lot going on, and that there should be a little bit more consistent use, and how do we bring it back into that alignment. Not only am I going to help create a new logo or point you in a direction to a logo, I'm also going to create like a structure for use moving forward so that this does not happen. So what happens is when a new administration comes in, or a new staff, a set of staff 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that they have some kind of system in place that it keeps moving forward. Who knows what will happen 20 years from now? Maybe we will re-image again, but the goal is to make it timeless, that it can be representative of all for a community and represent everybody, both taxpayer, student, staff, and then everybody can get behind and be proud of. This doesn't really show it because the screen is so bright, but there's about 7 or 8 different purples out there. Okay? What happens is, real quick, is that depending on the vendor you're using or who's using it, they never had a code and they just picked the purple. I was a graphic designer in those situations. I'd be like, all right, I'll use that purple today because I felt happy that day, or I felt mad, so I used a deeper purple or something. It was just that. But when you work with these vendors, you also tell them these codes so that they have to follow them. So that's the requirement for them. So if you saw like those companies I worked for, one of them was Pfizer, and to this day, I can still remember the codes because that's the only things those are the only numbers I could use. I could never go on that. And Target has its own red. No one in the world knows what that color combination is. They specifically ask Pantone to make that color. Okay? So here we are. We're here to brainstorm. We have about, what, 45 minutes? Okay. The next 10 slides is basically an open conversation for us to talk about. Again, there is no wrong answer. The word no is not allowed. This isn't a debate. This isn't it's basically hearing the information that you guys hear, what your constituents have said to you, what you are experiencing as a parent or a teacher or staff, as the board member. If you're sitting out in, at a restaurant or at the football game and what you're hearing, okay? I work with the Calmarine School District, and there's a slide, and I'll tell that story in a second, but there's an important thing for that is to listen to what other people have been saying, because that's what exactly is happening, okay? And then, so what we need to do is hear that information and then synthesize it and move it forward, okay?
The placemats, you should all have a
Yep.
copy if you want to jot down notes. And then Nathan will be collecting these at the end to
Okay.
help with his research.
Every focus group that I'll be working with will have placemats like this, and I'll be doing a lot of reading. I think the focus group for the parent and community is going to be about 40. We're hoping at least 40 participants. If it gets bigger than that, then it's hard to get a good, true conversation. And then these placemats will allow community members who don't like to speak up to actually write down. Okay, because there are so many different logos, I'm choosing these two because these were the two most consistent used, right? Including photos. When I went to Google Waunakee, the W Warriors seem to be around a little bit more in some of the, like on a field, or it's used a little bit more, but also the one on the left is the one that is used on the website and on some of your formal paperwork. All right? So this is where you guys talk, and I listen. What are some of the pros? We're going to go with the district on the left and the high school on the right, because we're going to kind of piggyback this for both of them, okay? So we're going to be efficient about time and respect everybody's time. So let's start on the left with the district. What are some of the pros of this? What do you see?
Spells everything out,
Okay.
literally.
I really like that we use Waunakee Community School District. I think that that's an important part.
Okay.
I don't like the color of the purple, of the W. I like the color of the writing. The W is too red.
Too red? Okay.
I agree.
Okay. Any other pros? Think through the lens of a school district. Think of the lens of teaching. Think of, does it show?
Yeah, I'm assuming that represents, or the graphs or whatever is behind it, sort of, to me, that represents growth throughout the district.
I thought this means we didn't mow.
It was what? I don't,
That we didn't mow.
Waunakee was more of there was farmland.
Right, I
Very-
think it represents kind of the farmland and the prairie
The
feel
first.
and I think our intermediate school kind of had that theme of the farmland and
that's becoming less and less.
it is becoming a lot less.
With the words half arcing around, is that still true today? Do you feel powerful? Do you feel?
Well, the arc to me, I guess, means it's sort of a community coming together, surrounding the district, surrounding.
Yeah. You like the surrounding feel to it?
all encompassing.
The words don't grab, we're on the pros, so. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
mhm.
You guys just want to go negative.
I'm sorry.
Does anyone know how long the, or excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt, but does anyone know how long this logo's been around?
Do you have an idea? It was created not with the current website that we use, but the one before we switched to it. I would say probably 15 years.
Okay.
Just
I was,
right there.
I was trying to find it and I couldn't, so.
I was gonna guess 15, 16 years ago.
It did not exist before that. This was completely new one. It was on the website.
And at the time, I mean, this could have been the right solution. Okay, so don't, please don't take this like as I'm like stepping and, you know, stomping on it. Okay? Any other pros to this one?
Fine.
Okay, just give me 1 second. So you notice I'm writing a lot of notes down for this. Okay, so let's go to the high school one. The pros to this one. This one's pretty, right now this one is used the most. Okay, and I believe this was also used to help give a new solution to taking away some of the other elements as well, and from past logos.
I mean, it's bold,
Bold.
shows strength, I think, because of the size of the print.
I like the warriors. On the W, I like the block W. I think, as Brian said, it's powerful.
Powerful, like that, okay.
I like the two fonts mixed, the block and the person.
I mean, it does sort of, even though, you know, when you put the UW flying W in this, side by side, you see a difference. But it also has a similarity to it where there is some connection to Wisconsin. You know, I've always seen that, but if you see them side to side, you can totally see that there's a difference, but there's that connection there.
You have a W.
Is that good?
Hard.
Well,
If we were Sun Prairie, it wouldn't work so well.
No, I get what you're saying. You are right.
it's because the Flying W is a bold W as well.
And it's a strong brand.
And it's a strong brand, yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other quick pros to this one? Is this one pretty new too, then?
No,
No, it's been a while. Okay, been around for a while.
yeah, a long time. I believe I have a cheerleading sweater with that on,
Okay.
a long time.
So it's been a couple of years.
I don't want to go down that path. So, you know, you actually do bring up a good point, because a lot of, especially with schools, a lot of schools still ride on what was developed at that time. And at that time, graphic design was a lot harder. Like, I can create that W within 2 seconds on a computer. But back in the day, even with when I first started, you actually were drawing, okay, in your paste ups, markups, and that was actually, the process was a lot harder, took a lot longer, needed more talent, and so that would have been, you know, a long process where now it's just a different. So at that time, it was probably cutting edge. This, you know, now it's changed, it's evolved. Okay, so we did some great work here. When there's a pro, there's a con, okay? Remember, there is no wrong answer. Everything's right. Also, I meant to say is, you know, this is, think of what best communicates us. Is this communicating us? Logos are very subjective. I like the color blue. My wife hates the color blue. She likes red. You know, these are the things I have to addressed. If you look at this and it's like, does this best communicate us? Does this best represent us? What's the cons to these logos? The actual visual part of the logo. We'll go with the district first.
I think it's too wordy. I mean, you repeat yourself.
Mhm.
Commitment to, commitment to, commitment to. I think it distracts.
I don't like the shape of it. It's like too big,
Too tall.
too
It's a
tall.
block.
It is. You know, if it's going to be a letterhead or, it just is, the shape is not even.
It goes beyond the logo, you know, you kind of see the W, it's adding everything in there, so it's like a logo plus
Logo
stuff,
plus.
you know?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. And I'm gonna put that logo plus. There's a lot going on.
It's like supersized.
Supersized.
Yeah, and I think whether you want, you know, the athletic logo or a district logo or a school logo and a district logo, I think there's got to be some recognition.
Yeah.
You know, I know when I've done this at college before, we practiced in Wisconsin, and so we were also red.
Mhm.
And so we put a ban on red uniforms
Mhm.
for a while because people would drive by and say, oh, there's Wisconsin, you know, practicing. We didn't want that. We wanted people to recognize us as a college out there.
Mhm.
So we went black and gray
Mhm.
instead. But then black and gray became the thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you want to be able to recognize as you look and glance. So you to connect the two in some way.
They at least have to be the same color.
Yep.
Same color.
I think at a
Yeah.
minimum. I'm not sure the W's have to be the same. And then I think there's a difference I saw in one of the other ones. It looks more like page letterhead, where this looks like a branding logo. And where it had the wording extended out.
Yeah.
Now, that would look great on official letterhead. This would actually, I think, is poor on letterhead. So in a sense, but they should be similar enough that they're still tied together. But I think a letterhead versus a logo are different. And I think this almost tries to be, I wouldn't want to see them try to be both.
So you actually make a great observation, and you actually make a great comment, because logos, if you are going to take it apart like that, if you're going to put it to the left and have the words to the right, or the logo on the top and the words on the bottom, it should not disrupt. It should always look the same, no matter what orientation you put it in. So that you bring is a great point, and it's actually a function issue, okay? So you just recognize the function issue to this because of that arch especially, and because you're kind of pigeoned into that layout, you're pigeoned into a situation, and that's something that I instantly saw when we first started the conversation, but I'm here to listen first, and then I'll start to suggest. Okay, with that being said, you also
Could I win the $5 then?
What I do want to say too is that think of the word family when it comes to school imagery, okay? You're the district. You are kind of like the parents. You are the top of the umbrella, and then the schools underneath follow under you, okay? And this is something I've been working with school districts to help understand that elementary school, or if you have a charter school, or your high school should feel like you're still in that family, but still have their own representation, their own characteristics. Especially at the elementary school, and that's a conversation long down the line from here, but elementary schools are usually more neighborhood-based. They like to have their field, their little mascot, but they also want to get to the next level. And then when you get to the middle school, which is twilight zone, they want to be high school, but their feet aren't big enough yet. You know, it's just one of those situations, they're not mature enough yet, but they want to be a warrior. So they have an identity. And then you have the high school. It's your mothership, your flagship. This is your big school. This is the one that's always in the news. This is the one that's making who you are, because they're the ones launching off into the next world or to the next level. They have an identity. So what it is that we want to make sure that this family all looks together, okay? and that we brought to the next point. So let's go to the high school, and let's talk about that W.
I think it's too heavy. Too heavy and too blue. And I keep looking at it and I thought, why are they got those arrows pointing down? Because it's so narrow, it doesn't look like, the figure ground. I keep going crazy. I have to squint to see the W.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
once you,
It's way too blocky.
yeah,
Black.
once you pick up on those arrows, it's hard to get your
I
eyes off.
yeah, I have to
They're
squint to see
pointing
the
down,
W.
so.
So yeah, there's your symbolism right there. It's pointing down. That's a negative connotation. People don't realize that what they're looking at is actually subliminally telling them that this is an actual negative. Okay. Remember that with Franklin, you can have a nice shield, but it looks like a shield from a knight's, back in the 1200s. But I jarred it a little bit to make it a little bit more progressive, but I was also making it pointing upwards, so that feeling was like excelling. Okay, that alone was like the selling point for them. So that's something to think about. Here's one thing I'm going to quick notice with this one is blocky. Warriors, it's off balance. Okay, it's not giving it enough. It's not balanced enough. It's hard to read. One of the things with the logo, if I turn this into a stamp, like about 1 inch by 1 inch, something is not going to work in that logo. Same with the left. Logos should be able to expand to the size of that wall and still feel the same if you put it on the size of a stamp. Okay? Any other cons to this one?
Yeah, I guess, to go back to my point, was I sort of feel like a logo should be able to stand by itself without a name on it,
Mm-hmm.
and people should be able to recognize it. Now, if you took Warriors off that, and I'm not looking at the University of Washington's logo, but I would have to ask, do you go to University of Washington, or is that, if I saw somebody that was an adult, on a Saturday afternoon. But yeah, I just sort of feel a logo shouldn't need a wording to be able to stand by itself and be recognized.
I think that's gonna be tough for the school district.
That's why
I
we're
mean,
here.
like, the W, I mean, if you were from anywhere outside Big Ten football practically, would you know the difference between Washington and UW? If you see a W, I'll bet if we ran down to anyone who isn't a football fan or whatever in Texas and threw both W's in front of them, probably a third of those people would get it wrong. So just using a letter is always gonna be tough to get it to say something.
But
And
wouldn't
you're
you want
never
to be
gonna
the
get
first
to say
choice?
Waunakee because nobody can pronounce it.
Wouldn't you want to be the first choice? And that
Yeah.
has something to do with how you build that brand.
So here's some of the things that you're bringing up some great points, is that your foundation, your belief systems, your actual core foundation of ideals, there's a disconnect of what you're visually showing, okay? So what we're trying to do is customize this look to help match to that. So because whatever that changes, and if that core ideal changes, the logo will support, or vice versa. The logo will support the core ideals. The thing is there's so much visuals out there. In today's society of over-information, yeah, I'm gonna put up a W up there and you're gonna be like, oh, that looks like this, or that looks like that.
Yeah.
One of the things that you have to look at as a logo is one of the best ways logos, a good logo is that it means something to you and you can then relate that to the district, okay? You're trying to get that connection, trying to show those feelings so that you can say, I look at that W, I see power, I see aggressive, I see fluid, something in that fashion. And that when I see my son running around on the soccer field with that on his chest, that's who he is. So those are those connections. All right, any other cons quickly? All right, so the next question becomes, positive, unique, descriptive words. We're going to start with the district. And I'm talking as a district as a whole. What's the elevator speech? What is the top 5 words you can think of that best describe the district?
Academic excellence.
Okay? What also gives you an advantage with your surrounding communities? I know there's some prairies next to you. I know the forest is close by. Nona Grove is just a little south of here. Madison's in the same vicinity. So what gives you the advantage? What are some of those positives? What makes you different?
I would say sizing and flexibility. We have the resources to do almost anything any district around us can do, but we're not oversized such that we can't change and move faster.
You can adapt. is what
Yeah.
I'm-
I think we have very committed employees, administration, teachers, support people, committed.
And I think we have strong co-curriculars, all around. A lot of activities for students to join in clubs, variety.
So if you were at that coffee house talking about that you're a board member and someone who was a resident, what would you say to them? What else would you say to them? Why? Let's put it in this context. That person who is in line looking for a coffee is looking to move into the district. They're just getting a cup of coffee before they meet the realtor. And you were like, oh, I'm a board member. What would you say to them? I know I put Johnny on the hot seat, but this is these are the best answers and the most true.
I mean, if I'm from the area, I've been here for 20-some years, but if I grew up here, I would want to say tradition,
Tradition.
without a doubt.
I've heard that twice today. I've heard that you've been with Waunakee for a very long time and you've been here for 20 years. People stay. That is a big plus. You're not a revolving door community, Okay?
I think we're innovative.
Good?
Yeah, I think we have very progressive learning space, administrators that kind of push our staff into kind of cutting edge initiatives. We're always out there in the front line doing stuff.
Can you explain Frontline? That is the very first time I've ever heard that.
I think, like an initiative like a professional learning community.
Okay.
We jumped on that pretty early. Many the curricular things that we have available for our students, I feel that we have administrators that are always out there looking for new ideas and bring them forward, and between our staff and our board and our community, they buy in early.
No, I appreciate that. That was I see that. I can see that. Okay. All right. Any other quick ones? So, now to the high school one. To the high school, excuse me. Some positive words about the high school. Descriptive words.
Broad curriculum.
Broad. Okay. Don't worry, no one's gonna get fired.
I'm sorry, we're describing the high school?
Yes, the high school. I know we're jumping back and forth because we're trying to get two of these logos in this one meeting.
Trying to think of the word, but I think we're well-rounded in preparing students for whatever they want to do afterwards, whether it be college or the trades or any work environment. I think those options are always there and sought at after students and backed up by staff.
Mm-hmm. Some strong opportunities for the student.
Get the innovation center, innovative.
Innovative, okay.
I think our staff is very cohesive. They have, there's very uniformity in curriculum, so it, teachers really collaborate.
Collaboration, okay. Does anyone have a high school student?
Yeah.
Okay. What would your son or daughter say?
Yeah. Say, wait, what?
What would,
That's what they would say.
what would they say? A positive word for their high school is. And I don't mean to put you on the spot too. It's just one of those things. It's like, having a conversation and like, I was talking to my son, me personally, I was talking to my son about his high school day, and he said, I learned something that was like something I used in English and then I used in German. Like how he did some research and he applied it to a different class. And that to me felt like there was like the word collaboration, but also applying one thing to another, just gave him that connection and without him really realizing it. And it was something that was quite interesting. Because when I was a kid, I was sitting in a row, reading a book and memorizing, and then I took the test. This was a collaborative effort. So,
I mean, the camaraderie, but that's, just the friendships you have, that would be the first thing they say. I don't know if that really relates so
No,
much
it
to
isn't.
school, but.
I think supportive, both from the staff and students. It's challenging. I think there's a variety of levels. If you want to challenge yourself, it's here.
all right. And I have one more quick question for a positive. If you were talking to somebody from, let's say, another board member, what would they say is positive? Like, ooh, I'm impressed. I'm gonna bring that to my board. Bring it to my school. Anything? You think of? Okay. So, like before, once there's a positive, there's a challenge. One of the things we need to know too is what are some of the challenges that you're having, that you're hearing, so that we can help apply it, to help fix that, or to help address that. This one's a little easier, but no one take offense. This is just what you hear, what's the experience, so that we can help correct that or again address it.
I think there's a stereotype that we're a wealthy, exclusive community.
So this is for a district, so you're, okay?
Waunakee. That's what
Waunakee?
Waunakee is probably the most common negative thing you see throughout the district.
I think when people hear I have Waunakee, they say, oh, meaning, oh, that's a pretty exclusive community.
Yeah, exclusive.
Exclusive.
Okay?
I think also the fact that the high school doesn't have a name. Put that a lot. It's just like high school.
Well, I think that it's Waunakee Community High School is a mouthful,
Yeah.
instead of
That's
saying
a tough thing,
West Memorial
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Farmland or something like that.
Sometimes having two high schools is nice because they each get a name.
They get
Right?
West,
When you have a
East,
community
West.
like ours, it doesn't have one, it doesn't have a
So,
tag.
yeah.
So
And I
if-
think thing that Ted said, which is a positive, is the traditions. But that can also be a negative too. We're trying to change certain things to be able to expand what you're like we're process we're going through now. But it's just, it is, because this, what did it say, we're almost 15,000 now? I know people who grew up here all their lives and they never thought they would see this
Yeah.
20 years ago, 25 years ago.
It's like evolving.
Yeah, it evolved,
Yeah.
it's definitely evolving,
But
but it's good.
But the name, the Waunakee Community School, is a positive in the sense it's not just, it's the whole surrounding area, it's the community, not just Waunakee.
Right.
You have a number of municipalities dumping into
Yeah.
this school.
Yeah, but I don't think those municipalities have an identity.
No.
No,
You
but
don't
I
know-
think they're very important to be acknowledged in that name.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I have to apologize. How many communities, municipalities was it?
Westport,
Vienna.
Vienna,
Jane, Springfield, Madison,
5,
Middleton.
Yeah.
6.
I counted 8.
Yeah.
About 8?
It's about eight.
Okay. Okay.
Do you think they need to be acknowledged?
Yes.
We'll get to this conversation in the next slide,
Okay.
but so we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. So any other challenges the district, any other negativity that you're hearing from your constituents or your parents or any of those challenges? Okay. I know COVID is such a blinding situation right now, and everybody's so focused on that. But in reality, COVID, knock on wood, whatever, it will go away, but you still have your other issues. You're still, how strong are you in the community? Is there any challenges that they're not being challenged at, elementary level, or, is there anything else that you can think of?
Well, I think,
Go ahead.
I think what both Judy and Dave had alluded to, you do get the feeling sometimes that we are not a welcoming community. But being in athletics for so long, I also know when you are good in athletics, a lot of people in co-curriculars and academic, you get this rivalry that's, that stands you out as, oh, you're superior. You feel this way.
Kind of the feeling
but-
of elitism?
Right, but I don't always feel that when I'm with our students, or within our district.
So there's a
I-
perception and then a reality.
I think so,
Okay.
yeah. I think, because I've also student taught for a couple of years, a few years back, and I've been in the classrooms, and I've been surprised by the generosity of kids helping other kids
Yes.
with disabilities or whatever it may be in our school. So you don't see that amongst kids.
Yeah.
I think it gets to where it gets outside and people, what they're looking in, and I'm sort of thinking, how do I look at some Prairie or Middleton or some other schools, Verona? Is it because what I hear in the news or through other families, and so,
Yeah.
That's a tough one to break.
break.
so,
Okay, perfect. I appreciate this feedback, okay? I know it's tough. It's really hard to hear criticism, constructive criticism, whatever it is. It's good to understand because sometimes if there's a broken wheel, you gotta fix it and you gotta know what the repair needs to be. So let's go to the high school because we have about 10 minutes left. I have a few more slides.
I have one more thing to add
Yeah.
for the high schools. I think from looking on the outside, I think there's a feeling of disparity of where I'd want my kid to go to elementary school. Thinking that there's one or two look better than the other. When you get to the high school, you only have one choice, but if you're moving in, And I don't think there's a disparity in the curriculum but I think people look at it and say, I don't want to go to that school.
Okay, I know exactly what, can I say, this is just, based on experience, this comment will be based on experience, and just, my brother lives in a district currently, and there's only 2 elementary schools. It is similar in makeup, it is considered heavily white, elite, you name it, and they all want to go to the one elementary school because they have the good teachers. Does that sound familiar?
I haven't heard it about the teachers, I heard it more about the facilities.
The actual physical building?
Yeah.
You're right.
Is it a newer building?
You're right.
No, it's extremely old.
Extremely old?
Yeah.
Okay,
The other 2 buildings are treated pretty equally, from
Okay.
what I can tell.
okay. No, that's good to know. That's actually, there is a challenge there, for sure. Okay. Thank you. So if there's any other things you want to write, remember, actually, you know what we could do is, if you want to hold on to them, you know, and I can always give them the next time I meet, we don't have to give them to me. Here's the one thing, the placemats, keep them to yourselves. Don't go and refer to anybody else. What I need to do is keep this within this small community of comments. So here's the next slide, the naming convention of the district and the high school, and we already kind of discussed that. And how does it refer to formal and informal? And it sounds like for the district, it is Waunakee Community School District. You don't say anything else. You say sometimes like an acronym. Like I live in the Kellamrain School District. Kellamrain is a mouthful, and this is the story. I was sitting in a football game, and I was going through this process, and I actually put myself in the football game to listen to what they were saying. Not one person said Kellamrain. They only said KM. So with that being said, people needed to relate to the new logo. The hierarchy of the logo was KM. So that made it an easy transition and an acceptance. Then I put Kellamrain to the side, to the top, you know, and it all works out that way. That's part of the research of it. So again, from a school district standpoint, how do you call yourselves?
You said Waunakee.
You do?
If I'm writing it down, it's Waunakee Community.
Good for you. I don't.
Okay.
I always write WCSD.
I don't like that either.
Yeah, you're right, because when you Google search it, it doesn't come up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of or WCSDs.
But I think generally when someone's just talking and referring to it, it's Waunakee.
Or the high school,
The high school?
just the high school.
So, okay, so that's for the high school, like the Ohio State,
Yeah.
okay? Anything else?
And it's also the district.
The district, okay? Formally, when you write a letter or from a high school standpoint or from a district, you formally call yourself that? The community, the Waunakee Community School District, correct? Is that the legal name, I know this is a great question, okay. So back again with Kellamrain School District, everybody refers it to the Kellamrain School District. The formal legal name is the School District of Kellamrain. The only time that they refer that or actually use it is in their postage into the return address. Because legally they have to keep it there to keep their nonprofit. But if you look on their websites, Kellamrain School District. So there is some confusion, but because it was so popular, because it was so voiced that way, both from the staff, the students, the parents, the taxpayer, everybody, so that's how they formally changed. They actually kind of formally changed it, and they only refer to themselves that way. So it's just something to learn, to understand. Anything else for this one? No? Okay. Real quick, you guys kind of did this, touch on it, the demographics, internal, external customers, some of their challenges, physical, social, economic, and physical area. I heard growing area. I heard suburbia. You didn't say the word, but that's what I heard. Urban sprawl.
I
Sorry.
think there's a tension between have and have-nots.
I think there's a tension between established families here for the last 100 years and people who moved in. I experienced that when I used to live near the high school and moved out to a new district. And my neighbor's like, oh, you're not going out there. With them, yeah. So, I mean, it was people who have lived in that same house for 50 years and stuff. So there was like, and I think that sort of comes down with heritage too. It's the older, the original town, village. And then as people grow, there's a lot of people who obviously don't work here.
Yeah.
That work in Madison or somewhere outside.
But there is a group of people that are all related by names or cousins or married to so-and-so. I mean, that's a real core group of people. Not that they're not including people, but there's a definite core.
Yeah, well, there's the established families that have
Yeah.
here.
You have a lot of people who actually donate that you have to be aware of. Commit money, like big money. Okay, the reason why I asked this, and I probably asked this wrong, but I'm working with another district, and they have a huge alumni association that is the old guard. And I'm sorry to call it that way, but they do not want change. And the thing is they need to change, or they're going to get sued. This is how it's going to turn out. So, is there any of those kind of concerns? Or should we be aware of that? I know this is like a really honest answer, but it has to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty common. I saw it more with another group I used to work with in town here,
Well,
which was a nonprofit, so.
yeah. One of the things I've asked this is because that with the high school, there was some challenges, and I saw that conversation you had about the Indian in the mascot and the mural, and that some of your older logos have representation of that. And Annie and I have had discussions about that. It's not as hot topic as some other ones that are out there, And I just want to make sure that I'm aware and know those situations. And if we don't have to answer it right now, please put it down and address it. We can always bring it to the table, but this is part of the research of my side from your side for hearing that I need to address. Okay, anything else here?
I would just like to say something quick since we're almost out of time, but you went through showed that huge group of logos.
Yeah.
And I think our biggest problem is the W as it is now. It's kind of huge and blocking stuff. I'd like to suggest maybe look at the girls lacrosse and girls soccer. The W style they're using is more of an action style W, if you're gonna go with the sports teams. And gives a little bit, something different than the down arrows, which you see in almost every other version. But that might be, or the W as used by the village, that they put up on the water tower, and the village of Waunakee's W is kind of a off slant, semi-cursive style W. The problem with that is for a sports thing, it should be thicker than what they have it. They have it more art style.
So one thing, part of this is, and once I get all the information in from everybody, and I will look through all of it, you'll start to see common themes and common topics and common, addresses, challenges, pros, vice versa, and everything. And then my approach then is to create ideas and concepts that will address all of that. you know, the one thing, you know, we can say is, oh, sports, but what about the art student? What about the band students? That kind of stuff too, and that's the stuff I will keep in mind. And it's really, I'm the third party. I'm learning, you guys are the experts. I'm learning your expertise, and I'm gonna sit there, you know, I'm gonna put it through my filters, and then I'm going to suggest these ideas, okay, based off the feedback. If we can do 5 more minutes, okay. This is really funny, or really actually, the pros and cons. Look through the lens of what best communicates the district, and what shape do you think the district looks like. I know it seems elementary, but you'll be surprised. I'm gonna move it real quick. Square, box, foundation, thick, heavy, okay? But also enclosed, all right? So what do you, when you look at these, what do you think of the district? Go ahead.
I see more of the round or oval. I agree with you. Any sharp edge like that, I see as boundaries.
Mhm.
I mean, the only one possible is maybe the hexagon.
Excellent.
Or, it's not a hexagon. Six-sided.
Yeah, it is.
So I would think that that could at least be seen as mildly inclusive, but again, it is still sharp-edged.
Mhm. A little more progressive, something different. It's not a true right angle.
But if, you know, we did have edges or sides like that, we could represent the, 8 different municipalities that come into our,
No.
That would be cool if
That
you
would
did
be an
one that's
octagon.
8, an octagon.
There you go.
Ooh, that's
See?
almost interesting.
You know, the triangle pointing upwards could also feel masculine. The triangle pointing downwards, feminine. Circle is all-inclusive, someone said. Also, if your current logo currently is a half circle. So the other thing is an oval is warm. And then you guys just emphasize community a lot. So what is a community? It's warm, okay? So these are the things I'm quickly trying to figure out. We don't need to talk about color. I think color is a pretty strong factor here. We talked about typography and initials and layouts. And this is going to be, I'll just show you a perfect example of what hierarchy is. When you said Waunakee Community School District, these districts actually have the same question to you. Watertown was the only time they said, you know, was the most emphasis. They never really said unified. Unified School District is the actual formal name. They had to keep it in there, but the hierarchy of it is Watertown. Racine Unified was a unique situation. They actually said Racine Unified all the time. They wanted it to be equal, but they also wanted to really keep unified focus because the district is seen as a unified of communities, okay? West Dallas, West Milwaukee is a perfect example of actually other communities, in multiple communities. West Dallas, West Milwaukee was also Greendale and New Berlin that belong in there, but the formal name is that, but they only say school district. So school district had a hierarchy, but they're a little bit older because there's a formal name. All right, real quick, if there's any questions, please write them down. I'll answer them or bring it to Amy's attention. But I have to say that branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room, and that's from Jeff Bezos. And I really agree with him on this comment. So when you're not in the room trying to defend this, what are people saying? So I have a few more answers there, and we can go forward from there. I appreciate your time and thank you for the feedback. This does help, and it's just the first step, but by the end of October, we'll have everybody's feedback, and Annie can update you with that as well, but, and then we'll go to the next steps from there. Any initial questions? Real quick? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. I appreciate your time. I know we went a little over it.
It's okay. We'll just
Do you
talk
want-
faster.
Do you want me to collect them now?
Well,
Yeah.
If you're done with your notes.
So at this point, I would like to make a motion to go into closed session.
second.
I need a motion.
Oh, motion to go to closed session.
Second.
second, Brian. All in favor?
Oh, it has to be roll call.
I'm gonna keep mine.
Oh, we gotta do roll call, sorry. Brian?
Yeah,
Judy? Dave?
Yep.
Ted?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Thought you said no, and I go.